Hi, this is David Odell with Odell Complete Concrete. Today we're just going to show how to get an extra car width for your existing driveway. So this is basically a one-car driveway. That's about all you can get in here and open the doors and get in and out of the car. So we're adding 12 feet right over here. So it'll be real easy to get two vehicles in here and open the doors and get out on concrete. So the grass isn't doing real well on this side anyway, so it's not a problem removing it at all. We do have a few sprinklers we're going to have to reroute. They had 3 sprinklers along the existing driveway edge there that sprayed in towards the lawn. Those will have to go, those will just end up getting rerouted. We'll eliminate that line entirely, it turns out here. We'll show a little bit of that when we start exposing these lines. So this entire dig out, just doing it by hand with that little 35-pound electric jackhammer with a clay spade on it, took us about 2 hours from the removal all the way to the setup with the 3 of us, me, my 2 sons, and that's it. We had 1 trailer load. I believe we had about 3 tons. 3 tons of dirt came out of here and saw. It's very light dirt. It was dry and it wasn't a heavy material. So there's one sprinkler line that you can see there that works. We started to expose. And that particular sprinkler line runs on top of a drain line, so that's going to be on top of the grade through the whole pour. So this pipe did have a T on it and it went all the way to the corner, so we just eliminated the T and threw a 90 there because we didn't need the water to go to that other edge anymore of the existing driveway. So it's just going to make the turn and go where it always went. Now there was another T right here as well that we took out, and that went to the middle of the existing driveway and sprayed in, so that T's gone also, and we'll just throw a coupling in there. Now, since this pipe can't go down any deeper because of all the other connections that it's connected to, and because of the drain pipe that's running there, that the pipe's sitting on top of, this is going to be setting about 3.5 inches below top of concrete, and it's actually in the grade. So this is, if you've watched some of my other videos, that's what you call a potential inverted weakened plane joint with that pipe being there, because that's going to make the concrete a little bit thinner just in that one spot. And fortunately that pipe is exactly halfway on that. It's at 6 feet and that's a 12-foot addition, so I'm going to cut a joint lengthwise right over the top of that pipe, and that way when the concrete cracks because of that pipe, you know, making the bottom of the concrete uneven, creating a inverted weakened plane joint there. That's just something I made up, by the way, too, but it does make sense. We'll just cut a joint lengthwise and we'll put 2, so we'll have 6 foot by 8 foot squares throughout this pour. We'll have 6 of them at the end. Now this driveway all slopes backwards towards the existing driveway, which is pretty unusual. Normally you'd want it not to do that, but in this case it has to, since the driveway is lower than the city sidewalk, and they have a channel drain at the end of the driveway, and that's where it goes underground to a 3-inch, and that's why that 3/4 PVCs on top of it right there. And it actually exits through the curve face at the front tire of my truck. It goes across the whole lawn because the water on the street travels downhill, so they actually took the drain to the lowest point of the street in their yard to get maximum slope. Now this is 4 yards of concrete is what it takes to fill this in. And I'll saturate it really good today and let it kind of settle in, and I'll pour it the next morning. Now we're going to be just tailgating this right off of the back of the truck with all the chutes on there, and just coming up to the top of the apron approach, we'll be able to reach this whole thing without having to use a wheelbarrow. And that's 24 feet. So you can see this back of the tire of the truck. It's just to the top sidewalk, so it never went on the driveway, because if it did, it may have crushed it. So you can see that this type of mix is a lot different looking than what I normally use, or if you watch my videos, what you normally would see me use. This is a lot bigger rock, so it doesn't move around quite as easily. Same water content, it's just the rocks make it a lot harder to move around, so it's not as flowable. Also, we didn't put any steel in this, but I did put fiber mesh in it, and I put some extra joints in here. So that's one way you can get around putting a lot of steel in. When you have steel, you can make your joints a little bit wider, make your squares bigger when you have the steel. But when you're not going to go with steel, it's a good idea to put more joints in it. Also, we had the GoPro going as well for some really close-up action on the actual rodding techniques. We really focus on rodding and bull floating for the learning portion of the Patreon account. If you really want to be able to do this stuff yourself, that's where you'd want to go into. You'd want to look at the Patreon account and check out those close-ups. So I really talk about step-by-step live action throughout the whole process. Also, I did get a nice view for my new lead platform that I'm trying out, which is called Houzz, Houzz. I did get one on there. That was real helpful. Thanks for doing that. The more the merrier, though. I'd like to see at least 10 on there, possibly. Would be a good start. That'll generate some more activity. If people are looking for someone to do some work, they'll find it because they promote that with more leads, I have a feeling. Or actually more reviews. So here's the joining technique. I used a 2.5-inch cutter. It's about 3 foot long, 2.5 inches deep. I cut it with that, and that keeps it nice and straight. And then I just run a 1/2 inch, 3/4 deep joiner through all of them to cream it up. After I get all my joints in and I get walking edger, you have a lot of lines that's created from the joiner and walking edger, so you want to knock those out as quick as possible so you can flatten the concrete out and you won't see the lines in there. The lines I'm talking about is the outside lines that the edger makes and that the joiner makes. Those you want to smooth out pretty quickly. Try to avoid closing up the joint entirely. That way when you go through it again, you don't have to fight it, and you can see your line. There was a lot of cracks in the existing driveway. There wasn't a single joint in the thing. There was mini cracks. Sometimes I'll try to follow the cracks right through the slab, the new concrete, but there's so many I couldn't, and they weren't spaced evenly, so I just created a whole new pattern here. This whole pour from start to finish lasted us about 4 hours. In between each one of these processes that you're seeing happening, it's the same steps, but they're repeated about 3 times, and they're spaced approximately in 45 to 1 hour apart in between each one of these steps. In other words, you bull float, walking edge, wait for the bleed water to come out, then you'll want to join it, get your joints in there, hit it again with your walking edger, knock those lines out, wait another 45 or so, and then go through that process one more time, wait another 45, and then one more time that same process, and then broom it. That's the whole formula for finishing concrete. Now in some cases you can't use walking tools, so you'd have to get out there in sliders in place of that funny trowel going on out there. But if you can get away with the funny trowel, it takes a lot of the work. You can cover a lot more area a lot quicker. And now on a good clean job, you want to get all the residue of the new concrete out of the cracks that kind of cling to the edges of the existing concrete. So you really got to scrape that out of there. Or you could sponge it, but I like to get a trowel into that radius and just clean it out real nice. Now we're going to take the forms out and clean this all up. We're going to even backfill it too, where the form was. We saved a little bit of dirt just to put back in where the form was. So when we're all done here on the second day, this job's completed. So I didn't even have to oil this wood on this particular job because it was already oiled a couple times on previous jobs, and it still was nicely saturated with oil. So you can see it came out real clean, didn't stick to any of the edges of the concrete. Put a little caution tape up just to let everyone know not to go on it. And this is the end product right here. Thank you for watching. If you like these kind of videos, subscribe, hit the bell, and you'll get the notifications on my latest and greatest uploads as I roll them out. Thanks. Have a good day.